Students, Standard 8 English Medium. In biology, we are going to start chapter number 2. That is the microorganisms, friend and foe. Now, around us we can see so many living organisms like plants, animals, birds, etc. But besides these organisms, means besides the plants and animals that we can see around us, there are some other organisms also there around us, everywhere, but we cannot see them because they are so tiny that we cannot see them. So those living organisms are known as microorganisms, or in short you can say that they are microbes. Now these microbes cannot be seen with unaided or naked eye, means we cannot see them directly, just like we see the animals like cow, dog, cat, or the human beings, or the different trees and plants, etc. We cannot see them, and we need a microscope, and therefore their name is also given as microorganisms or microbes. Now these microorganisms can be seen like when, especially in the rainy season with moisture, sometimes your bread, if you left them uncovered, then next day you will see that it is getting spoiled and grey or white patches can be seen on it. If you see that things with the magnifying lens, you will see them, and they will have small tiny black rounded structures also. So these all are microorganisms, means they are also living organisms but so small, so tiny. So we have to tell them as microorganisms. Now some of the microorganisms are unicellular. Unicellular means their body is made up of only a single cell, like the bacteria, amoeba, paramecium, chlamydomonas, etc., etc. So those are unicellular or single cell animal. So they are unicellular also, and some are multicellular, like mucor is also one type of microorganisms. They are multicellular, means they have well designed body also, but they are also so small, their body is also very small, so it is not possible to see them directly. So now if you collect some soil from different places, like in the field especially, because we know that in the farm also we learn that in the soil also there are some microorganisms which are known as the friend of the farmers. So if you bring the sample of soil from the farm and take small piece from it and put it on the under the microscope, or you can see what, you can put it in the beaker, add some water, and then let it settle down, and take the one drop of the water from it and put it on the slide and watch it under microscope. Then you will see so many living organisms moving in that water. So those are also the microorganisms. If you see directly that water, you won't be able to see them. But when you watch it under microscope, then so many microorganisms will look moving around inside that water. Similarly, you can bring the water from the pond or a river or somewhere and spread it on a glass slide, and if you watch that also under the microscope, there will be some moving creatures will be seen, and those are the microorganisms. So it means that we can say that from this observation that microorganisms are everywhere, in the air also, in water also, in soil also, and they are not actually all of them comes in the category of microbes, but those who are very, very tiny and that cannot be seen with the naked eye are considered as the microorganisms or microbes. Now, these microorganisms can be seen everywhere. As I told you, the microorganisms found in all kinds of environment, like ranging from ice-cold climate to hot springs, very ice-cold climate, like in the polar region. They can be found in those regions also, where there is very cold, we can't even survive. And in hot springs means the water which is very, very hot, boiling water. And in that water also we can find some microorganisms. Also, desert to marshy lands. Desert, you know that in the desert also the temperature is very high, very dry conditions without water. So in those areas also you can get microorganisms. It means that if you find out the water or the soil and magnify them with a microscope, you will be able to see that microorganisms there also. Similarly to the marshy lands, a desert to marshy land means that area of land in which there is lots of water is there, and it is like આપણે કહીએ ને ગુજરાતીમાં કાદવ કિચડ વાળું કે બહુ બધું પાણી હોય, કાદવ કિચડ. So that marshy lands, in that also you will see the microorganism. It means that they can be found everywhere, maybe in the air, in the water, in the soil, even in our food, in our clothes, and every item. It means that maybe it is around you now also. Some of the microorganisms stay inside our body also, in body of animals also, in body of plants also, and in bodies of human beings also. So we can say that there is no place, no such a place that we cannot find this type of microorganisms. It means that they are everywhere. So that is the fact about microorganisms. Now these microorganisms are classified into 4 major groups. They are classified according to their body design. They are classified in 4 categories. And that 4 major groups are the bacteria, fungi, algae and protozoa. Which are they? They are bacteria, fungi, algae and protozoa. These are the main 4 groups in which the microorganisms or the microbes are classified. Actually there is one other also But that is very, very difficult to tell that either they are living or non-living. Such organisms, such are known as viruses. Now, viruses, it is very difficult to say that it is a organisms or a non-living things, because these viruses are totally different from all these four categories. Viruses, like we know about the current situation, about that coronavirus, and through it that disease COVID-19. So now what happens in the virus? Viruses are actually, when they are free in nature, they are just like dead things. Maybe you will be surprised to know that we can store them like we store the sugar in a bottle or in a container. We store salt in a container. We store some grains in our containers. Similarly, it is said that these viruses also can be stored like the crystals of sugar and so on. Because when they are free, means outside in the environment, they are just like non-living organisms. It means that they don't show any type of activities at all. Just like the stone lying on the floor, your bottle lying on the table, or anything, that non-living things like a book. Book is inactive, nothing can do it. Similarly, these viruses are also so the same situation. Whenever they are in the nature, in the free state, it means that they are outside any plant or animal cell. They do not show any activity. They don't grow, they don't multiply, they don't even move from one place to another place. So these all characteristics are of the non-living organisms. But whenever these viruses enters in any living cell, doesn't matter a plant cell or an animal cell, any cell, whenever they enter any living cell, then only they are becoming active. They are using that host machinery of the cell, and then they start growing and they multiply in the numbers, mean they reproduce also. So these characteristics are showing that they are living organisms. But outside, when they are alone outside the body of other, then they show non-living characteristics. Therefore, the scientists also cannot categorize it either in living or non-living. So it is on the borderline. It is in the classification of living and non-living. They cannot put it either in living, because when they are outside they are non-living. They can't put it in non-living, because when they are in the other cell, they are very active, they multiply, they can cause diseases also. And therefore, it is very, very confusion that where can we put them, neither in the living or non-living. So it is exactly in the borderline of the virus. So, as I told you, viruses are also microscopic but are not considered as microbes. They can reproduce only inside the cells of any living organisms. So, viruses are neither living nor non-living. So, it is very, very difficult. So, they are kept on the border when they classify the living and non-living things. They also cause disease in some plants also. Like in the tobacco plant, there is a tobacco mosaic viruses. They make that disease in the plant, and they can cause disease in animals also. Like in the cattle, that foot and mouth disease, in which between the fingers of the feet and in the mouth they are getting ulcers, and that is caused by some special types of virus. Similarly, in other animals like human beings also, like a common cold, when we are sneezing and that thing, and the flu, influenza, flu, polio, AIDS, and currently our COVID-19. So these are all the diseases which are caused by that viruses. So viruses are also like other microscopic organisms, they are also can be harmful for us. Chickenpox is also caused by virus. And there are some other microorganisms are also there, as I told you, and they also causes the disease, like the dysentery, malaria. They are caused by protozoa. Protozoa are also microorganisms. Like we saw that bacteria, fungi, algae, and protozoa. So protozoa are also one kind of microscopic organism that can cause different type of disease like malaria, dysentery, etc. Then typhoid and tuberculosis. Tuberculosis means TB. We call it in TB as in short. So this TB, typhoid, and these are caused by bacteria also. From fungi also, like the skin disease are done by the fungi. So these all microorganisms are the harmful also. Now here you can see that there are some pictures of different type of bacteria and microorganisms like that. In the first picture you can see different type of bacteria. And here in the second picture, there is a Chlamydomonas, then Spirogyra, then this is the algae. They are the examples of algae. And here you can see that amoeba and the paramecium, they are the examples of protozoa. And then this bread mold which is growing on the bread, then that is the penicillium and the aspergillus. These are the examples of the fungi. And here on the other page there is the pictures of viruses also. Few different types of viruses. So these are the pictures and the examples of the microorganisms. So you can write down that you can draw these pictures in your notebook also. So now, as we already talked about it, that what are microorganisms, which are microscopic because we can't see them with the naked eye, and they can be found everywhere. Doesn't matter which type of climate, coldest weather to hottest weather, like ice cold area or hot spring in which water is very very hot, then also they can survive. They can found in the muddy water also, they can find in the air also, they can find in the soil also. It means that these microorganisms are everywhere around us. But only the problem is that we cannot see them, and therefore we cannot get precautions sometimes because we are not aware that they are around us. Similarly, they are classified in the 4 major groups. They are bacteria, fungi, algae and protozoa. Viruses are also micro, but they are not called as organisms. Why? Because as I told you that they are very very different from others. They show no activities when they are free in nature, but whenever they enter any living cell of a plant or an animal, they becoming active. They use the mechanism from the cell of the host, and then they grow also, they reproduce also, and they can cause some diseases in the plants and animals also. Now, here after this in the next video we will learn about that as a title says that it is friend and foe. It means that they are our friends also, and foe means they are our enemies also. So in the next video we will learn that how they are friends, how they are harmful for us. So whatever they, you will be followed, this video will be followed by the PDF file. You have to write down, and as I told you, draw the pictures in your notebook, and if any confusion, write down in the comment section. Thank you very much.